and welcome to Ivy Moves. My name is Ivona, and today we have a 20 minutes full body juicy stretch. It's gonna make you sweat because stretching it's not only about passive holds, it takes a lot of effort. So when you're ready, you're gonna need only your yoga mat, and let's get started. Let's start today in child's pose towards the back of your mat. The toes of your feet are together, hips sit towards the heels and melting the chest towards the mat. Ideally, you're gonna have your hands extended in front of you and start activating by pressing the palms of the hands on the mat, lifting maybe the elbows off the ground, opening the knees as wide or as tight as you need them. Starting to feel the activation, the stretch in the upper body. Taking a couple moments to ground. I am very guilty of often skipping that part because I think there is no enough time for it. I have to just go. But it always makes the difference. So just a couple moments. Looking inward. Maybe feeling how your chest expands with every inhale and touches the thighs. And from here, we're going to remain in child's pose, but we're going to start walking with the arms towards the left, stretching generously the right side of the body. The hip is pushing down and the right arm is pulling forward, like you try to reach something, creating these opposite forces to stretch the side body. Keep pressing with the right palm on the ground. And let's walk back to center with the arms and move towards the right side. Oh, my left is much tighter. The hip is pushing down and the left arm is trying to reach something far away. Observe how you feel with each side. Each side is a journey on its own. We're not made to be equal, to be even in our bodies. So let's celebrate this diversity. Come back to center. And from here we're gonna start slowly creating a wave up, rounding the back, maybe bringing the knees a little bit together towards the center. Maybe the hips wanna fall to an improvised up dog. Starting with intuitive movements. Coming back to child's pose, maybe starting to make the circles with the spine. Give your body what it needs today. Intuitive movement is always on the menu, even if I don't give it to you. And cat-cow are always an option if you're not feeling too creative today. Just take it as fast or as slow as you need to. Opening the chest generously. Especially if you do it in the morning, I know you feel the urge to round the back more. Feeling the blood rushing in between your scapulas and the back of your neck. Don't forget to open the chest to receive. Coming back to child's pose if you're following my pace. Our spine deserves so much love because it enables you to do all these things, to play, to run, to sit straight, to have a good rest sleep without pain. So let's give it some love. When you're ready, meet me into tabletop. And let's just start, maybe still have the knees a little bit further back, and let's start making the circles into the hips. Waking up the hip joints. With age, with time, it's usually our joints that start complaining and compromised hip health. I assume only it can really compromise the quality of life, the way you experience it and the things you can do. Coming back to center. And from here, we're gonna start warming up the hip joints by bringing the left knee close to the tricep, opening into the side like a fire hydrant, rotating back into donkey kick, and then that left knee, we're gonna tuck it behind the right knee, It's gonna look like we're going for the shoelace pose, Gomukasana. And just sliding back with the hips. Don't bother if you don't touch the ground. The idea is just maybe start creating this rotation in the hip joint, coming back to center. And now we're gonna go back the same way. We're gonna kick back into donkey, open to the side, bring it to the tricep, and now that left foot is gonna sneak in front of the right knee, left knee on top of the right knee, and again sitting back down. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Feel the differences between the left knee behind or in front of the right knee. Coming back to center and centering the knees, shaking the hips if you need to. And we're gonna do it with the right leg. First, right knee to right tricep, open to the side, donkey kick back, and right knee tucks behind the left knee, sending the hips back. Maybe you wanna send the feet to the side so they are not directly under your hips when you start sitting back. If this is accessible for you, go as far as you need to. My hips are nowhere near the ground, but I already feel the stretch on the outside of my left hip. So the point is to feel, not to look fancy. Coming back through donkey kick, fire 100, and now the right foot is going to start sneaking in front of the left knee, right knee on top of the left knee, and again sitting back, targeting the other hip. Oop. Sending the foot on the outside makes it easier. You just take much more space for the balance. This is why we also insist on opening the fingers wide when you balance on your arms. Just take the space you need and coming back to center. Unwinding the knees, tabletop, and let's take our first down dog, sending the hips towards the sky. It's my first down dog for the day, maybe yours too. So walk it out. If your heels can touch the ground, then start lifting the toes of the foot that you're stretching to really send the heel back to lengthen the backside of the leg. And coming back to center. Let's stay here for 2 more deep breaths. And 1 more. Maybe release through the mouth. Perfect. Let's start slowly walking towards the top of the mat. And just stay hanging here. Maybe hugging the elbows, feeling how the gravity pulls your upper body down, creating space between each vertebra. Maybe you feel your belly expanding against your thighs with every inhale. Maybe you feel a tiny bit closer to the ground with every exhale. Swaying from side to side. Again, find your intuitive movement. You don't have to sway if you don't want to. It's not always in my practice, but this morning it is. Placing the palms on the ground, open the feet a little bit wider, and let's start walking them, just bending one knee, stretching the other. And now with the arms, we're going to start walking towards the left. If the ground is too far away from you, place something under your palms to bring the ground closer. And let's bend the left knee and really send that right hip away from you. Stretching the side body, the back of the right leg. And now everything's going to stay the same. You're just going to extend the left knee and bend the right knee. And here the left back chain of the leg really is working. Breathe into these sticky spaces. Imagine that you're sending them space, energy. Coming back to center with the arms and walking them onto the right side of the legs, on the outside of the right foot. The right knee remains bent. If you need to lift the heel, feel free, obviously. And the left knee is still straight, and then we're going to change them. The left knee is going to bend, the right is going to extend. The arms keep reaching further towards the right. Maybe close your eyes, tap into the sensations, and coming back to center. From here, open the feet maybe mat width apart and start sending your hips down. Maybe your toes are turned a little bit out. Don't worry if your hip don't go all the way down. And from here, we're just gonna lift the hips back up, toes point straight, release. 3 more times, toes out, sending the hips down. Maybe you wanna spend a little bit of time here, get some wiggle, get some left and right, and start sending the hips up, toes down, toes forward, and releasing the head down. 2 more times, toes out, hips down, moving the hips, the knees, maybe lifting the heels, and hips up, head down. One last time, we're gonna stay a little bit in Malasana, in the low squat. From here, right arm reaches towards the right, maybe the right shoulder is in front of the right knee, pushing it open, left arm towards the sky, opening that chest. If it's available for you, maybe you reach that left hand behind the back, and maybe the right also meets it, grabbing for the bind. It's a very intense shoulder opening, so don't force it. You can always bring the palms together by placing a towel or a belt or a strap between them. Don't force anything, especially around the joints. Releasing, palms in front of the heart, using the elbows to open the knees to the side, and getting ready for the other side. Taking that left elbow or shoulder in front of the left knee, reaching the left arm to the side, right arm towards the sky, and if you have the space, right arm reaches behind the back, left arm meets it there, or there is a towel, belt, strap, anything to bring the palms closer. And release, come back to center, and slowly start bring the hips up and standing in front of your mat. Let's get into the standing poses. Hands towards the sky, right knee towards the chest, keeping that balance. We're gonna come into warrior 3 from here, extending the right leg back. And now maybe the arms find the mat, the ground, 2 blocks, coming into standing split. The right leg is towards the sky. Try to square the right hip towards the ground. And from here, you're gonna gently step the right leg behind you, coming into high lunge. Find your balance. Make sure your feet are wide enough, like you're on train tracks, not on tightrope. Makes balance obviously much easier. And from here, we're gonna start creating waves into the front body. Reach with the arms forward, like you're trying to grab something, and gracefully open the chest. 2 more times, reach for something. Make it as graceful as you feel it. Don't focus so much on the shape, but on the movement, opening the chest. And now the left arm is gonna find a balance around the left thigh. Right arm opens to the side. Push the right heel behind. Very strong to these right toes, trying to stretch the back of your knee. And let's make it dynamic. Right arm reaches back, and then up. Stretching the side body, back, then comes forward, up and back. Look behind you, create a very long line from the toes to the fingers of the right side of the body. 2 more times. Opening the chest, opening the hips. And one last. Coming back to high lunge. Palms in front of the chest, I'm going to twist to the left, taking that right elbow on the outside of the left knee. And breathe, look behind you. The head is part of the twist. Release, coming back to center, and we're gonna come into pyramid pose. So find the space between your feet that feels comfortable for you. The back left leg is just there to support you. Placing the arms into reverse prayer. If you can, this is how the reverse prayer looks. If that's not possible, obviously this is an option. Grabbing for opposite elbow, anything that's gonna make your chest open. Squaring the right hip towards the ground and folding in front of that left leg. Here I'm already feeling it halfway. We don't really need to go extremely deep. Try to find the balance. It's this active stretch that makes the difference more than the passive stretch. Passive is amazing for releasing tension, but if you are aiming for splits or just more freedom and flexibility in your legs and your hips, definitely put some effort there, strength and stretch. One without is just not sustainable. You can also try to challenge your balance by lifting the left toes and remaining on the left heel. And let's do it a little bit dynamic. From here, we're going to release the arms and we're gonna kick with the right back leg to come into standing split. Releasing the right leg behind us, standing into pyramid, finding the comfortable position with our arms and folding forward. Let's do that 2 more times. Slowly getting up, releasing the arms, kicking with the right leg. Maybe you even want to challenge your balance by placing the arms onto the calf instead of the ground. Coming back to standing pyramid, get the hands comfortable and fold in front of that leg. Play with the balance as you find comfortable. And now on the last standing split, we're gonna linger there a little bit more. Get back up, kicking back, standing splits. From here, you're gonna bend that right knee. The right heel comes towards the sitting bones, and you're gonna start opening your body towards the right, walking with the hands towards the left, creating this long line from your right knee towards the right fingertips. 3, 2, 1, and slowly releasing that right foot next to the left. Coming back up, opening the chest, palms in front of the heart, connecting with your breath, finding an inward moment. Even in such a short practice, there is always a moment to ground, to feel how these physical movements translate into the changes in our breath, changes in our thoughts, maybe even in our emotions. Maybe we have released something or invited something else. Opening the eyes, let's do the other side. Arms towards the sky, left knee towards the chest. We're going to slowly pass through warrior 3 and come into standing split. The first standing split on this side. Maybe point or flex the toes, but keep them engaged of that left leg. Squaring the hip, so this is an open hip. This is what a square hip means. And slowly, slowly start placing this left leg on the back of the mat, coming into high lunge. Finding your balance here. Strong in the legs, strong in the back leg. The back leg is so important here. And the more you engage the glute here, the more you're gonna start feeling the stretch here. Because in order for one side to open, the other needs to close, and vice versa. So there's always these opposite forces. Now we're gonna start this graceful movement by collecting love and spreading it to the world, opening the chest. 2 more, collecting, opening, find the grace that your body asks for beyond any shape. Open, open, open. Perfect. Now the right arm is gonna find its balance around the right thigh, hip or knee, and from here the left arm is going to be back, down and back. Slowly start sending it forward, up, back, open the chest towards the left, and come back. 4 more times. Did 5 on the right side, correct? Come back to center. This movement just really squeeze that left leg when you open. 2 more. The right side just tries to find the balance of what's happening onto the left, so be intuitive there if you even need to support yourself somewhere. Hold here for 3, 2, 1, and release, coming back to your high lunge. Palms in front of the heart. Now we're going to move towards our twist, taking that left elbow on the outside of the right knee. Very strong in the legs, using the connection between the elbow and the knee as a lever to push yourself even further. Coming back to high lunge. My legs are burning. And we're going to come into pyramid pose. Now you know what's the dynamic here. First we're going to a little anti. We're going to find our reverse prayer or whatever you found before that. Interlacing the fingers behind the back is also an option, great for opening the chest. I think I'm going to opt with still reverse prayer. From here, squaring the hips down and folding in front of that right leg. Notice the differences between left and right. As usual, challenge your balance. If you feel like closing the eyes is also a great balance challenger. Imagine how you're sending that right hip back and the left hip forward. Maybe the right toes are in the sky, balancing only on the right heel. Come back up with your body. And we're gonna go 3 times between the pyramid and the standing split. So releasing the arms, kicking that left leg behind, standing split, the arms, find the comfortable balance. It doesn't have to be the ground, maybe it could be blocks, chair, anything. And we're gonna step back with that left leg. Find a comfortable position to open the arms and forward fold with the body in front of that, on top of that right leg. Okay, if the standing split is accessible to you, try to challenge yourself now by avoiding putting the hands on the ground, maybe grabbing the calf, the shin, the ankle of that right leg, sending the left towards the sky. Woo! That's what I mean, active stretch. Left leg behind. One last pyramid pose on this side, end of the practice. Maybe you can go deeper here. You've stretched a lot, your body is warm. Coming back up, and now we're gonna linger a little bit in that standing split. Coming back up, standing split, bending that left knee, sending the heel towards the glutes, walking with the hands towards the right, looking under that left armpit, feeling the stretch wherever you're feeling it. I definitely feel difference between left and right and the sensations it creates in my body. So who am I to suggest where you're gonna feel it? 3, 2, 1. Release the left leg next to the right. Coming back to the center with your body. And slowly standing up. Palms in front of the heart. Find your center. How does it feel to equalize left and right now? Let's find our way to seated as gracefully or not as you'd like. From here we're gonna come into figure 4, sitting, right ankle cross on top of the left ankle, sending that right knee away from you. The closer your body is to the shin, the more intense you're gonna feel it into this right outer hip, flexing the toes of the right leg. And of course, if you want to lie down on your back, feel free. I would just like to change things up. We're used to very much on this position to be lying down, hugging that thigh, bringing it closer to our chest. So let's find a little bit more activation if we have the energy today. And now we're gonna start sending this right leg towards the side together with the knee. They're gonna fall. We're gonna find ourselves in a position comfortable for twist. If your sitting bones cannot be both at the same time on the ground, extend that bottom leg and twist like that. Make sure that you feel the ground under you. And if this is accessible for you, then the right knee is towards the sky. Hug that right knee, right arm goes up behind us. Maybe the left elbow goes on the outside of the right knee, twisting. Maybe creating a little mudra with our left hand, touching the thumb and the index finger. The other three fingers are together. Look behind your right shoulder. And release. Let's do the other side. Both feet on the ground, left ankle cross on top of the right knee. And start sending the knee away from you, flexing these left toes. Play with the distance between your shin and your chest. Feel free to close your eyes and really sink into the sensations happening in the left outer hip. Usually I leave each asana to be interpreted by the student. Where do they feel it? How do they feel it? And I always ask them, where do you feel it? And the answer is always the outer hip. So I have the confidence here to assume that this is also where you feel it. But if that's not the case, the only condition is that you don't feel any pain, especially around the joint, especially around the knee joint. Let's start twisting by releasing that left foot and right knee towards the ground. Find the ground with your sitting bones. Extend the right bottom leg if you need to. And if you don't need to, hugging the left knee with the right arm, left arm towards the sky behind you, and maybe elbow comes on the outside of the left knee, creating this little mudra. Maybe closing your eyes. Breathe deep. Twists are very interesting because they create opening of the lungs on one side and compression on the other. So breathing is tricky, it's interesting, it's challenged. It's not our familiar, usual open chest. So just experiment with the sensations like an observer. Come back to center. Unwind the legs. First comes the bottom one, then the top. And let's just open the legs into butterfly, grabbing the ankles, sending that chest forward, maybe using each elbow to open the knees. And when you find your maximum reach, just relax on top of the legs, like a dough without batteries. Such a great metaphor, such a great cue to surrender yourself. And even though we got very warm, I know I'm very warm myself, still feel that need to stretch a little bit extra the space between the scapulas, the neck. Such a sticky spot. We collect so much emotion there, so much tension. And so many nerves go through there. It's the highway between the brain, the spine, and so many of our organs. This is where all the nerves that connect to the brain, they all kind of like go through there. It's really their tunnel. And start being distributed coming from the outside of the vertebrae of the spine, which acts as the distributor. So don't underestimate that stretch. If you need to give it a couple more minutes, do so. I'm gonna start slowly getting up to lie back for our final relaxation pose. You can remain with your legs in a diamond shape or open them for Savasana. Palms can be one on the tummy, the other one on the chest, or open to the side, palms facing up. Just taking a couple moments here to feel the effects of your practice. You can stay here for as long as you'd like. Thank you so much for joining me for your practice today, and I'll see you next time.